Next we've got 8-4 suited in the under the gun straddle. The button raises to 100. The small blind calls. He's a new player named Mark. He has a massive $30,000 stack. Mark is also from the UK, and he's friends with a business partner of mine at the Lodge and mixed game crusher, Jake Abdallah. Mark told me that he's interested in playing the 100-200 game that I'm currently trying to prepare for, which will take place at the Lodge the following week. This is definitely the best practice I can get for the larger game, especially since I'm even up against potentially one and the same opponents. I defend for 60 more. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes 8-3 deuce with 2 hearts. We've got top pair, no kicker, and a backdoor straight draw. The small blind checks. I check. The button isn't letting anyone see a free card. He bets 100. Mark has a big bag of tricks. He pulls one out here, check raising to 500. Folding is reasonable, not enjoyable though. I don't like the idea of calling with what could be the third best hand. I just really don't think that the small blind has anything. I have an 8, reducing the likelihood that he has a set. He shouldn't have any 2-pair hands. The only really strong hands that he'll have is the one combination of pocket 8s and the 3 other combos of pocket 3s and pocket deuces each. That's only 7 total combos. The same is true for the button as well. Since I have good card removal and I came to play, I put in the rare cold re-raise to 1600. It should look like I have the absolute nuts. If the button doesn't have a set, he's going to have to fold pretty much everything. Even if he has aces, he's going to hate the spot that he's in. I re-raised on the flop earlier with a set. Here I'm doing it as a bluff. The button folds. I only need to get through one more player who could have been bluffing himself. It's hard to imagine that he's bluffing now because he puts in the re-raise jam for 10,400 effective. Welcome to the high-stakes poker world where the punishments are literally capital. I'm not 100% convinced that I don't currently have the best hand, only 98%, but I fold. I get caught trying to make a move that doesn't work out. I certainly could have avoided that loss. I'm okay trying out some unique plays occasionally though. I've got to brush it off and move on. We pick up ace-jack offsuit in the small blind. It's 5-handed right now and there's a double straddle, so it's 10, 20, 40, 80 with a $20 big blind ante. The button is the sole rec player remaining and is the same one that I tangled with earlier on. He's first to act. He limps in for 80. Button limps don't happen very frequently in these games. I'm in a unique situation in which I want to isolate the button limp from out of position. I raised to 400. I wouldn't be mad if everyone folded. Playing a large pot with ace-jack offsuit from the small blind isn't ideal, but raising was definitely the best option. The button calls. I'm glad to be going heads up with him. The flop comes 10-3-3 with 2 spades. We've got 2 overs and some backdoor draws. The standard play is to bet small on a paired board. For some reason, I bet 600. I suppose that this could induce a few additional folds, but against an opponent who's more of a fit or fold type of player as it is, betting small makes a lot of sense. The button calls. He doesn't seem thrilled about it though. The turn is the 6 of clubs. If I'm being honest, I don't 100% know where I'm at in this hand, but I've been playing poker since I was 15 and I just turned 34, so over nearly 20 years of playing, I've developed pretty good intuition. Regularly, you see me make plays that are in theory not great or even bad, but somehow they tend to work out for me a lot of the time. Sometimes they don't though, and I look like an idiot, like in the 8-4 suited hand. We're about to make one of those high variance type of plays right now. I bet 2,000 to try and steal the pot from the button. He does some odd things, so I don't have any clue as to the type of hands that he's limp calling raises with on the button and also calling flop bets with. I just have noticed that over the course of the session, he hasn't gotten to showdown much because he tends to look for reasons to fold. I'm giving him 2,000 reasons here. Even if he has a flush draw, he won't be excited to call on a paired board. With that being said, I wouldn't call my post-flop play in this hand very good. Still, it works out. After only 5 seconds of thinking about it, the button folds and asks to see what the river would have been, which typically indicates that the opponent wants to see if the draw that he had would have gotten there. If the dealer lets the button see, he's not a sharer, so I have to grab the card myself to see that the river would have been the 5 of hearts. This win gets us up 700 for the session. Not bad for about 2 hours of play, but in this game, it's not much. 10s are decent. Aces are better. We're in the under the gun straddle. I'm excited. My friend Jake McDonald is excited as well. He's been in quite a few vlogs previously. He's on the button here and raises to 100. Mark is having a tough go of it this session so far. He's lost some big pots and is down about 10k as he tosses in a calling chip from the small blind. It's about to get much rougher for both opponents because the price is going up. I 3-bet to 600. Jake must have something that he likes. He calls for 500 more. The small blind calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It's King 7-7 rainbow. What a dream. There shouldn't be many 7s in my opponent's ranges, and neither of them will have pocket kings since they didn't 4-bet pre-flop, but both players could have some hands containing kings. The small blind checks. There aren't any draws to worry about, and it's a paired board. I bet 600 once again. The button doesn't want to relinquish his hand. He has another player to act behind him, and I could have pocket kings, aces, and ace kings, so he really shouldn't be sticking around too light. He's not concerned as he gathers chips and calls. It's tough to put him on anything specific. Maybe he just has a king, but he could have some combinations of trip sevens or something much worse like backdoor draws. The small blind doesn't want anything to do with this pot. He folds. It's down to heads up. The turn is the jack of diamonds. I'd feel better about this card if I had the ace of diamonds. I kind of want to see how my buddy wants to play this. I check for pot control in case I'm up against a 7 or pocket jacks. If the button checks back, I'll almost for sure have the best hand. Instead, he bets 1400. I don't exactly know what to make of this. I figure that he most likely has a king and I should be in good shape. I don't think check raising will accomplish much though. I call. This has become a large pot. The river is the queen of spades. I played a ton with Jake in Las Vegas over the last 10 years. He knows that I wouldn't have made it this far in the hand without something strong, especially after 3-betting pre-flop. I'll have full house combinations that he won't have, including pocket kings and queens. If I check, he may even check back hands like king jack, king queen, and ace king. I can't allow that to happen. I don't think that Jake would attempt to bluff at this point either, so if I check, he'd really only be putting in bets with hands that have me beat, and I won't be able to fold. With all the adrenaline in my body right now, it's tough to think of the best play for us to make. I don't know what comes over me, but my mouth just blurts out
4,000.
It's an odd sizing. I sort of like it though. If the opponent has king queen or king jack, you may have to call because he has really good card removal, making it less likely that I'll have a full house. If he has trip sevens, which has me beat, he has no card removal to the full houses that I'd likely have and could possibly even consider folding. At first, I'm concerned that the opponent might have trips or jacks full and is going to call or jam. That doesn't appear to be the case. He's tanking for a long time. I don't blame him. It's a big pot and a big decision. I'd never take this line with ace-king since that hand doesn't beat the other 2 pair combos. Aces is probably the worst hand that I'd actually do anything similar with. My buddy is thinking through what happened from the start of the hand until now. Usually, he's pretty quick with his decisions. This is about the longest that I've ever seen him in the tank. A full 4 minutes goes by before he finally folds. He doesn't immediately tell me what he gets away from. I figure aces is the best hand, and he made a good laydown. Maybe if I made it smaller, he would have called and I could have gotten more value. In any case, it's a big pot that comes our way to get us up around 3,000 in profit. I'd find out later that we completely stole the pot. Jake would text me after the session that he folded trip sevens. If I had lost the pot, I'd have been stuck piles of money. Somehow me playing the hand like a fish helps me get a bluff through that I wasn't even aware that I was attempting. A lot of strange things had been happening to me lately, causing my opponents to win pots in weird ways. I'm glad something like that finally happens for me. 20 minutes later, we've got another premium hand with ace-king suited on the button. Mark is in the hijack. He raises to 160. This is a larger sizing than most people have been using. I'm going to be making it more. I 3-bet to 500. The hijack calls for an additional 340. We're heads up in position. The flop comes queen 7-6 rainbow. We have 2 overs and some backdoor draws. The hijack checks. I'd like to keep control of the pot. I bet 460. Perhaps some better hands like small pocket pairs may fold. Other hands with equity may board as well. The hijack calls, not what I was hoping for, but that's okay. The turn is another queen, our backdoor draws are dead, and I wouldn't be shocked if we're up against trips. The hijack checks, I slow down and check back to try and at least get to showdown cheaply. The river is the king of spades, giving our hand a lot more value. The hijack checks, I doubt he'd do that with trips after I check back the turn. We should have the best hand most of the time. I want to bet an amount that can get called by a worse king, or possibly even something like pocket jacks or 10s. I make it 1200. Mark apparently has something, but it must not be that great. He doesn't quite know what to do.
Should watch more of your vlogs now. I know what you're up to on these spots.
I'm again rooting for a call. This time we get it. I turn over ace king of hearts. Mark gives us a nice hand tap on the table. He's a gracious guy. He knows that I'm filming and is even willing to show you guys what he called with.
You want me to show you one?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit.
This one.
Yeah, thanks. Mark was basically bluff catching with jiggities. This time we had it to win a nice pot well over $4,000. With this one, we've got $16,000 in front of us and are up $6,000 on the session. As the session's winding down, we've got king queen offsuit on the button. We're playing 5-handed. I raise to 100. Mark calls in the under the gun straddle. We're heads up in position. The flop comes 7-4-4 rainbow. Under the gun checks. I'll be mixing in some bets and some checks with king queen. This time I check back. The turn is the 10. Mark grabs some chips and announces about a 200. I don't think I can really stick around, but I suspect that I'm getting bluffed by a very specific hand. I call out exactly what he has as I fold. I feel like you have jack 9.
Wow. Talent.
Pretty good.
I hope that goes on the vlog. Not bad.
Mark showed jack 9 for the table to see. That's the last interesting thing that happens before we book a big win.